Hey, yo, foreigner, you crazy for this one.
Yeah, that thing I'm jab riding when I'm left hooking. Fiends said they love me cause they know I keep that sack moving. Sad to say, but this the life that I have grew in. I had to hustle, skipping class, man, I was true in. I can flip some packs.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bucket Discussions podcast, man. As you guys can see, I'm in a different area. I'm in a different setting. I obviously don't have my partners with me, Taj and Trey, my guys. It's because we're doing a little bit of a different type of video today, as you guys can see, obviously. I wanted to go through all the NBA playoff teams that are currently in the playoffs right now and talk about the X factors for each of those teams. So, you know, without any more waiting, man, let's get straight into this video, you feel me? But before we do that, I'd like to give a quick explanation on what an X factor basically is to the people that might not know exactly in basketball terms. Basically, an X factor is just like a significant player on the team. It really doesn't have to be significant, actually. It can just be any player on the team that can help carry that team to the next level, you feel me? So it's just any player on the team that can come and score a 20, 30 piece, maybe even a 40 piece any given night, you feel me? So without any more waiting, man, let's get straight into it. We're going to go ahead and start with the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, and that will be the Atlanta Hawks. For the Atlanta Hawks, these guys are a pretty deep team, as we've seen in the last playoff run they had last year. But for this year, I'd honestly say that their biggest X factor is probably got to be Bogdan Bogdanovic or Kevin Huerter. These two are really lights out shooters, you feel me? These guys can stretch the floor. They can facilitate a little bit. Bogdan, I'd say he's a pretty solid defender, especially for his size, you feel me? The Atlanta Hawks, they unfortunately are going to be missing Clint Capella for probably all of this series, because they just said he's probably not going to be coming back till this upcoming Monday, or that's when he will be reevaluated, you feel me? So that means anything. It could take a week, it could take a month, it could take half a year, you feel me? So they will be without Clint Capella, which is a major loss for the Atlanta Hawks, and also John Collins. So they would definitely need some contribution from Kevin Huerter, some players like Bogdan Bogdanovic, Danilo Gallinari's even a good option, I'd say, and also Sweet Lou Williams, man. A lot of people forgot about Sweet Lou Williams once he got traded to the Hawks from the Los Angeles Clippers, but he is still a microwave of a scorer. You know what I'm saying? He can come out and just give you a quick 10, 12 points like that and bring some energy off the bench. So I'd say with the Atlanta Hawks, their biggest X factor has got to be probably Bogdan Bogdanovic, so keep an eye out for them. Second team we will be speaking about is probably the most unique 7th seed anyone has ever seen in NBA history. It is the Brooklyn Nets with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. First things first, these guys should not even be 7th seed, honestly. I know they've had some injuries here and there, but there's honestly no excuse for them to be 7th seed. But since we're talking about this team and their biggest X factors, I'd have to say, obviously they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, like I just said. Those will be the two primary scorers. But sometimes when one is having an off night, someone else is going to have to step up, you feel me? So the good thing about the Brooklyn Nets, though, is they have a lot of options for an X factor, you feel me? They have players like Seth Curry. They have players like Patty Mills, Bruce Brown, who has really came into himself this season, you feel me? He's really found his rhythm as a scorer. He's always been a solid defender, but when it comes to his shooting, his shot creating, all of that, Bruce Brown probably has to be the biggest X factor for the Brooklyn Nets for me personally, just because he provides everything, you feel me? He provides defense, he provides a little bit of scoring. Like I said, he's really improved as a scorer this past offseason, you feel me? So I feel like Bruce Brown might be the biggest X factor for the Brooklyn Nets, just because what he's capable of bringing on the defensive end of the court, you feel me? And also we can't forget about Goran Dragic, who is a very underrated playmaker in this league. I feel like maybe it's just because he hasn't played in like 2 years, it feels like, but Goran Dragic is really, could honestly be a big-time helper for this Brooklyn Nets team, you feel me? I would say Joe Harris as well, but Joe Harris had a season-ending injury. God damn, excuse me. Sorry about that, Joe Harris. Did not mean to say that. But, yeah, I'd have to say for the Brooklyn Nets, it has got to be Bruce Brown, man. So let's move on. Now, coming in at the number 6 seed, man, we have the Chicago Bulls, which, honestly, dude, they have it really rough. They got to play the Bucks the first round, and they do not have a defensive big man whatsoever for Giannis, for players like even Brooke Lopez. You feel me? So it's going to be tough to find an X factor for the Chicago Bulls team. I'd probably have to go ahead and say Alex Caruso. If you guys can get him to play any solid defense on any of the wings on the Bucks, such as Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, I feel like maybe you guys could have a chance to win a game. But honestly, dude, I see no chance. I see no chance that the Chicago Bulls even win a game in this series. I'm just being 100% honest. They have no one, and I mean no one, to guard Giannis. Their best big man is Nikola Vucevic, and he has never been known as a defender like that. You feel me? So it's really tough for the Chicago Bulls. You know, I really do feel bad for them. The first time they make the playoffs, they have to go against the reigning NBA champions, which just sucks for the Chicago Bulls. But I'd probably have to say Alex Caruso is probably their biggest X factor if they want a chance at even winning a game in the series, or even Kobe White. I like what I've seen from Kobe White this season. He's came into himself as a scorer, you feel me? There was a lot of talk before the season of him being traded and shit. I feel like he's found a place on this team, and even if he does end up getting traded, he has some trade value, which can help the Chicago Bulls in the future. You feel me? So I'm gonna have to rock out with Alex Caruso. You feel me? Alex Caruso has got to be the biggest X factor in the playoffs. He's an NBA champion. He's been to the playoffs just 2 years ago. You feel me? The finals. He's done his thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Alex Caruso for the Chicago Bulls. But coming in at the number 5 seed, man, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors, who are a very interesting team just because of how far and how much progress they have made from this year, from last year, you feel me? So it's good to see the Toronto Raptors back in the playoffs again. But if I had to choose an X factor for this team, I'm probably going to have to rock out with one of their big men. It's going to have to be Prestas Pachulia, Chris Boucher, or OG Anunoby, just because they're going against one of the best bigs that we have seen in the past, probably ever, honestly. And Joel Embiid, he just won a scoring title this year, you feel me? So they're going to need all of the big minutes they can get from all of their big men, you feel me? It doesn't matter. They're going to be throwing multiple different types of coverages at Joel Embiid, so they're going to need the big men to step up. So I'm going to just say that the Toronto Raptors, probably their biggest X factor is going to be their big men. Yeah. Now we're going to be talking about the opponent of the team we just talked about. The Philadelphia 76ers obviously have a pretty decent lineup. They've been pretty solid all year, even after they made the trade with James Harden. But speaking of James Harden, he actually may be the biggest X factor for the Philadelphia 76ers. As we all know, James Harden really is not that prolific of a playoff scorer or a playoff player in general. So I feel like the biggest X factor for the Philadelphia 76ers will be James Harden, obviously. But if we're taking the stars out of it, I'm going to have to say Matisse Thybulle might be their biggest X factor, just because he's going to miss their first 2 games in Toronto, which obviously the first game doesn't really matter because they won. But the second one, we're going to have to see what happens, man. Matisse being out of the first 2 games is kind of big for the Philadelphia 76ers. He provides a lot of extra defense, you feel me? He can guard a lot of different positions, from power forward, small forward, guards, all that. And honestly, I feel like Tobias Harris might also be their biggest X factor. As we know, Tobias Harris has never been that great of a playoff performer. He's been, a pretty inconsistent type of player over the course of the past 3 or 4 years, you feel me? So I feel like those might be the biggest X factors for this team. Obviously, the 76ers have championship aspirations, so they're going to need any of these guys to step up, you know what I'm saying, as much as they possibly can. So, I'm going to go ahead and say Tobias Harris might be the biggest X factor for the Philadelphia 76ers this year. We're going to be talking about the Bucks, who are the 3rd seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, they have a great team. They just won a championship last year, and they didn't really make many additions to the team. You feel me? So I'm going to have to go ahead and say their biggest X factor has got to be Pat Connaughton. Giannis, you know what I'm saying? A player like Giannis, who drives to the basket a lot, who's always looking for players out on the perimeter. They're going to need shooters out there, you feel me? So they're going to need, obviously, Chris Middleton. He's going to do his thing. Drew Holiday, he's going to do his thing. But they're going to need a lot of other players, like even Jordan Nora. He's going to have to probably step up a little bit. I know he's a rookie. They might have to ask a little bit from him, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like Pat Connaughton is their most consistent three-point shooter, so they're definitely going to need him to step up his game when Giannis is, driving to the rim and he has to kick it out to someone, you feel me? So Pat Connaughton, be ready to knock down their shot, man. You are the biggest X factor for the Milwaukee Bucks, man. Now, for coming in at the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, has got to be my favorite team in the Eastern Conference, and one of the teams I've been really big on all year, the Boston Celtics, man. The Boston Celtics, man. Hey, obviously, if Robert Williams was not hurt, I would say he is their biggest X factor, especially going against a team like the Brooklyn Nets, who have a lot of great interior scorers. Obviously, KD can get to the rim anytime he wants. Kyrie, obviously, he's not, super big, but he's super shifty, you feel me? So he can get to the rim in multiple different types of ways. So I feel like Robert Williams would be their biggest X factor if he was playing. And I hope he does end up coming back this series. He does have a chance. But while he's out, I'm gonna go ahead and have to say that Grant Williams is gonna be the Celtics' biggest X factor, man. Grant Williams has been doing his thing all year. Obviously, he's always been a pretty solid defender at the power forward position, but I feel like this year especially, he's really stepped it up when it comes to his shooting, his shot creating in general, just being, a good spot up shooter, catch and shooter, all anything like that, especially for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who are interior scorers as well. They're always trying to get to the mid-range. They're always getting to the paint. So I feel like Grant Williams will probably be the Boston Celtics' biggest X factor. Now, the Miami Heat, man, they are a very interesting team. If we're being honest, I feel like the Miami Heat might be the most perfect team when it comes to just the roster, you feel me? I feel like there's just a complete balance. They got scoring, they got they got veteran leadership, you feel me? They got the outside shooting in Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. They just have everything a playoff team needs. But personally, I'm going to go ahead and have to say that their biggest X factor is someone who's, been under the radar all year just because he's been injured for quite some time now, and that is Victor Oladipo. Before Victor Oladipo got hurt, he was a 20 point per game scorer, and I feel like a lot of people forgot about that. And if they can get him back, along with players like Kyle Lowry out there, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, who's been averaging 20 points off the bench, which is just ridiculous, unheard of, you feel me? This team, I feel like they can make a pretty deep run if this team just does everything they're supposed to do. Obviously, like I said, this team, to me personally, might be one of the most perfect teams constructed on paper, but if they can make it work on the court, man, like they have all season, explains why they're the number 1 seed, they can really make something happen. So I'm going to go ahead and have to say Victor Oladipo could be the biggest X factor, you feel me? Because a lot of people forgot about him. So coming at the number 8 seed in the Western Conference, man, we're going to go ahead and talk about a team that unfortunately beat my Los Angeles Clippers, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. And I feel like their biggest X factor has got to be a rookie of the name of Herb Jones, man. If you guys don't know about Herb Jones, I definitely recommend tuning in and learning about this kid, man. He's definitely one of the most underrated rookies. And I definitely feel like he'll be the biggest X factor for the New Orleans Pelicans in this year's playoffs just because of what he provides on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, his scoring isn't there yet. I know his numbers don't jump off the paper like that. But, yeah, Herb Jones is like that defensively. And don't be surprised if you see him clamp up on some of your favorite players. That's all I can say about Herb Jones. You are the biggest X factor for the New Orleans Pelicans, man. So, yeah. Now, coming in at the 7th seed, man, we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, I'm not really too hyped to talk about this team either since they beat my team to make the playoffs as well. So, fuck y'all for that. That's all I really got to say about the Timberwolves. But I will say that their biggest X factor has got to be Jared Vanderbilt or Naz Reid. These two have really been playing the role to a T, honestly, all year. But especially in that Clippers game. Naz Reid, he definitely made some really crucial rebounds down the stretch for the Timberwolves in that Clippers game, you feel me? He's also made a couple clutch buckets down the stretch as well. And Jared Vanderbilt, they're really going to need his defensive presence when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies, who they will be playing in the first round, you feel me? So I will say Jared Vanderbilt will be their biggest X factor, man. He's going to have to step it up. He's going to have to, shut down players like Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks. He's probably going to have to play even a little bit of some minutes on Jaren Jackson Jr. So, yeah, Jared Vanderbilt, you are probably the biggest X factor for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, coming into the 6th seed, we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, they have a MVP candidate in Nikola Jokic, so they have a good chance at making the Western Conference Finals. But I'd have to say that their biggest X factor might be Monte Morris, or it's going to be Nishan Highland. I know Nishan Highland is a really young player, but he's really been doing his thing all year. He's hit clutch shots after clutch shots down the stretch for this team. I can't even count how many times. Monte Morris is, with Jamal Murray being out, they're going to need big minutes from their guards, you feel me? So their guards are going to have to step up tremendously, especially players like Monte Morris. I feel like Will Barton, I know he's a forward. He's probably going to have to step up and play the 2 sometimes. And players like Jeff Green. Jeff Green, I feel like, is just the definition of X factor, you feel me? He's that player that just comes in and does what's needed for any team he's ever been on, you feel me? So I have to say the Denver Nuggets' biggest X factor this year has probably got to be Monte Morris, just because they're going to need big minutes from their guards, you feel me? So Monte Morris, you are the biggest X factor for the Denver Nuggets. Now, coming in at the number 5th seed, we're going to be talking about the Utah Jazz, and this team is very interesting just because they've been real up and down all year. Like, they've had good stretches where they're playing great basketball, and then they've had stretches where they don't even really look like a playoff team, to be honest with you. But I'm going to have to say that their biggest X factor is going to have to be Royce O'Neal. Royce O'Neal has showed in previous years that he can clamp up on some of the better, offensive wings in the league. You know what I'm saying? He's done his thing on Paul George a time or two. He's done his thing on players like Devin Booker. Even when they play the Lakers, he's usually the one that ends up guarding players like LeBron and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and say Royce O'Neal. But if I had to choose a different position for their X factor, I'm going to go ahead and say Hassan Whiteside. Coming off the bench for Rudy Gobert, they're going to need big minutes from their bench players, especially from their center, you feel me, when Rudy Gobert goes to the bench. So Hassan Whiteside, you're going to have to step it up on the defensive end when Rudy goes to the bench, man. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Royce O'Neal is the biggest X factor for the Utah Jazz. Now, coming in at the 4th seed, this is a really interesting series that the Dallas Mavericks will be playing, just because we don't know the timetable for Luka Doncic's injury. So they might be without him the whole series. Who knows, man? Who really knows? But the way the team is currently constructed without Luka Doncic, I'm probably going to go ahead and have to say that their biggest X factor is going to be probably I'm going to go ahead and say Spencer Dinwiddie, man. Just because they don't really have many go-to options on their team, you feel me? And as we've seen over the past year and a half, Spencer Dinwiddie really hasn't been that consistent of a scorer as he has been when he was with the Brooklyn Nets. So if Spencer Dinwiddie can, get going, drop a 20, 25, maybe even a 30-piece, then maybe this team might have a chance to take the Jazz to a 5-6 game series. But other than that, man, without Luka Doncic, this team really has no chance. So I'm going to go ahead and have to say their biggest X factor is going to be Spencer Dinwiddie, man. You're going to have to drop 20, 25, 30 on a consistent basis for this team to even have a chance, man.
And coming in at the number 3rd seed, we're going to go ahead and talk about my man Trey. We're going to talk about his Golden State Warriors, man. We're going to go ahead and talk about their biggest X factor. I don't know who his biggest X factor on his team is personally, but to me, man, I'm going to have to rock out with Jonathan Kuminga as your guys' biggest X factor. And the reason for that is just because I feel like he can guard multiple different positions, and also I feel like he is really one of the better rookies when it comes to just scoring. You feel me? He can honestly, pull up from anywhere on the floor. He has the height, which obviously helps him on the defensive side of the court. You feel me? That's why I picked him as the biggest X factor, because I feel like you guys will be going against some decent wings, especially if you guys somehow get matched up against the Phoenix Suns later on down the road. If you guys make it that far, you guys will definitely need a player like Jonathan Kuminga who can not necessarily lock down Devin Booker, but obviously contain him to a certain extent, because that is Devin Booker. So, yeah, I'm going to have to rock out with Jonathan Kuminga or also Jordan Poole, because if you guys can get Jordan Poole to play how he was all season long in the regular season, you guys honestly should have no problem being a championship contender this year. because that will be basically a third splash bro, like they basically been calling him the whole year. So I'm gonna rock out with Jonathan Kuminga as the biggest X factor for the Golden State Warriors or Jordan Poole.
So coming into number 2 seed, man, we're going to be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, this team is a very interesting team to talk about just because we really don't know what we're going to see from this team. Obviously, they are the 2nd seed in the Western Conference, as we all know. But this team is also one of the youngest teams in the league, so it's just kind of hard to sit here and predict what we're going to see from this team, you feel me? But if I had to choose an X factor for the Memphis Grizzlies, I'm going to go ahead and have to rock out with Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks has really impressed me throughout his NBA career, honestly. Dillon Brooks, I feel like he provides everything John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. does, but obviously not to as high as a level. But he can go out there, lock up the other team's best player, and also come down the court and give you like 10, 12 points on a night-in, night-out basis, you feel me? And that's really all you're going to need from players like Dillon Brooks, you feel me? Just to play his role to a T, just come down, lock down some of the better forwards on the other team or the better guards. He can lock down on multiple different positions except the center position. But other than that, man, I'm going to have to rock out with Dillon Brooks as the biggest X factor for the Memphis Grizzlies. So last but certainly not least, we'll be talking about the Phoenix Suns, who are currently the best team in the league and the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. The biggest X factor to me personally on the Phoenix Suns has got to be Aaron Holiday. Now, when you look at this team through 1 through 15, you can honestly come up with a reason why each of those players are an X factor of their own. But me personally, I'm going to rock out with Aaron Holiday just because I feel like he provides everything CP3 does to a certain extent. Obviously, he's not on CP3's level, but I'm just saying that Aaron Holiday, he provides defense, he provides shot creation, he also provides some extra playmaking out there. So that is very important, especially when you're talking about a guard coming off your bench and you're a championship aspirational team. You feel me? You guys are looking to go out there and win a chip this year to make up what you guys did last year. So, yeah, man, I'm going to have to rock out with Aaron Holiday as the biggest X factor for the Phoenix Suns, man. Stay tuned and watch out for him. And we have came to the end of the video. If you guys have enjoyed, man, make sure to leave a like on the video and make sure to share it with your friends. And if you are not subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, man, because we're always posting basketball content on this channel. And I know that's what you're here for, man, because you're obviously tapped into the video for some reason, you feel me? So make sure to tap in with us and stay tuned for more basketball content. But until next time, y'all, enjoy basketball.
In the jungle like I'm Conan, count up with both hands. Switch the flow like it was broken. I'm on the road, man, making plays just like DeRozan. I shoot my shot, and that shit wetter than the ocean. I brag a lot, but with the wind and come the boast.